Imagine a life where, growing up, you are celebrated for your creativity, cheered for while pursuing your passion, with the most education out of any generation prior, excited to change the world, and then you become an adult. And you are looked down on for creative thinking, laughed at for pursuing your passion, drowning in student loan debt, and working a job simply to survive. Now imagine you decide to take a leap of faith and leave the corporate world and live a life of fulfillment. But you get called lazy. Having recently quit the corporate finance world myself for the very reasons that we're going to discuss today, I wanted to break down what I believe actually happened in the labor market and why I think that this is going to actually transition and emerge into something far different than what we're used to. The one-person revolution. These are the 5 reasons why no one is working. Now, before we begin, so now that we got that taken care of, let's get started. Pandemic, the initial question. The pandemic forced many of us to completely slow down and almost stop our lives. And as the outside world just became crazier and crazier, without necessarily even realizing it, we began to look inward for potentially the first time in our lives. Coupled with the realization of just how fragile society is, it began to really show cracks in what it is that we've been pursuing. To get a good job, to make a bunch of money, to retire at some point, in hopes to be able to travel the world with your significant other. Which caused many of us to begin asking the question, whose life am I living? Work culture, wages, cost of living, the realization. As fulfillment becomes more of a priority in our lives, we begin to reflect on what it is that we've always been working for, money. We went from spending time with our kids, our partners, our friends and family, to then coming back to an office understaffed with a small wage. But the bigger issue is work culture. Work went from just being work, and then it went to an absolute breach of our personal privacy. You can no longer just go to a business and just work 40 hours a week. Our opinions, thoughts, and actions need to be what the company promotes. This is happening at the same time as prices are skyrocketing for most common goods. And this is causing many of us to feel like our dreams of a beautiful house or for some land or the car we've always wanted is now just unachievable. So we begin having to ask ourselves, what is the cost of fulfillment? What is it that we are willing to get rid of to be able to feel fulfilled? I think that what we are beginning to see is that while money is certainly crucial for survival in today's modern day society, we would rather scale back our lives to be able to take a job that we make $15 an hour at least feel at peace, than work at a job that we make $20 to $25 an hour and we absolutely hate our lives. So if we don't work for money, money may not even have purchasing power by retirement, and money itself is only able to buy bare essentials, then what is it all for? Information, the understanding. This is when the working environment really begins to change because we begin searching for answers to our questions. Information is the most easily accessible it has ever been in history. To get access to an education, college used to be the best and most respected way. And unfortunately, what ended up happening is having a college degree ended up being such the normal and just basic requirements. You need work experience for an entry-level job, a gift from the gods for an actual interview, and a good enough wage to support student loans and all of life's expenses, which unfortunately just rarely happens. So what do newly college graduates do? Well, I suspect that you need to work in non-traditional jobs or find jobs in a non-traditional manner. And so this is where I begin to see the trend really start to shift, as I believe that non-traditional jobs or entering the job market will become far more non-traditional than it ever has before. I personally was able to learn about how banks work, the stock market, and wealth more off of YouTube than 5 years of working at a bank. And the money that I made off of the skills that I had learned on the side, just off of YouTube, allowed me to not only have enough money to be able to have cash reserves for 2 years, but to still be able to have $50 to $60 to $70,000 in the stock market to be able to really protect the rest of my life. And just a little side note, I was legit made fun of while working at a bank for investing as much as I did into the stock market. So that is about as non-traditional as it gets. Intention, the development. So when fulfillment now becomes the priority, we have access to free education, and our construct around money is completely different. This is when we begin to form a life of intention. And oftentimes when we begin living a life of intention, you get creative on how it is that you can get to the destination. Every move that you do is towards a goal, is towards your fulfillment, is towards your peace, all of these different things. But you understand that things aren't linear. Oftentimes you have to go around different things to get to where it is that you want. But as long as you have intention pushing you forward, you're going to be able to get there. I think that this is why often many of us cannot stand doing these mundane jobs, because there is no purpose. There is absolutely no intention in what it is that we are doing. Minimalism, the lifestyle. Obviously, things are getting extremely expensive, and they have been for many years now. When you realize just how expensive these things are getting, the illusion of a dream house or a dream car begins to just become unrealistic, and you kind of don't even want it anymore. And when we begin realizing that there really is no need for these material items, that we don't need all of this stuff to show our worth, and just as long as your loved ones are okay, it gives you such a new level of freedom in your life. I have found as I began living a more intentional life, I quickly began needing less things, and I was happy with what I already had. This is how I was able to save up 2 years worth of expenses so easily, because I just truly didn't spend any money during that time, and I got my expenses to such bare bones that it eliminates a lot of risk that I would have to have in my life. I truly believe that this is going to become far more of a just basic lifestyle for people as we begin seeing that we just don't need to be consuming as much as we do. The one-person revolution, the new age. And this is truly where I believe that the labor market is going to continue to go, because I truly think that it has already started and is actually much bigger than we even realize. And that's because people are finally beginning to utilize their phone. Every single one of us has a cell phone, and the technology in this is far superior than anything that has ever been created before, at least that we know of. And what that allows you to do is, in the corporate world, you have yourself, the employee, and 10 trillion other people to get to the person that's actually making the decisions. So it has to go through all of those people for you to finally be able to feel like you're being heard or fulfilled or making at least enough money to make it worth your while. You can eliminate all of that by building a business through your phone. The way that you do that is you utilize your phone and being able to watch YouTube or whatever it is you want to do on the information age, and developing the skill set to being able to bring it back and market it to people, and to be able to provide value, to be able to feel fulfilled with the intention that you're providing. And the nice thing about this is that social media is an open invitation for people to come and provide value. But what if you don't want to be an influencer? I totally get that. I think a lot of people don't want to do that. They just want to work a job, make some money to provide for their family. I think this is when you begin running like sole proprietorships, or having everything go through your phone, through yourself. If you want to become a welder, go to YouTube, learn how to weld, use those skill sets and go do some welding and film it, and use that footage to be able to show, 50 of the biggest welding places or whatever the case is, what skill you have, what separates you from everybody else. And now all of a sudden you have a digital resume. The traditional way, I think, is continuously getting worse. I think that's why we're seeing so many people, college graduates, give their resume to people and never hear back. Because you have these softwares that are just shooting people away, and the actual person is never getting to see it. If you give someone and you send them a DM or you show them, hey, look at what I can weld, you are giving them the actual proof of what it is that you can do. So I hope that this provides some value. I wanted to really show you that the great thing about what is happening is that it's showing the power that the individual has. We are getting rid of all of the just junk and corporate muck that has been around for far too long. And it's going back to the individual person and the power that we have. So, as I hinted on, and I've talked about multiple times in this video, is I quit my job. And it's been about 3 months now. So, I wanted to go ahead and make a video about why it's actually far harder than I thought it would be. And I wanted to actually share some lessons in life that I've learned from that. So I hope that you enjoy. Thank you. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. About 90% of my viewers across my channel is actually not subscribed. It greatly helps me out and I very much appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Freedom! So fresh, so new. Freedom! It's all for you. All for you. Freedom! Keep your ear to the ground. Talking about